It's a time to move home. This is Tracy with Tracy Talks, a podcast about life, looking at life from a new perspective to gain wisdom and understanding in hopes to know yourself more. Moving has been a reoccurring activity within the last 15 years. Some of those moves were not by choice, they were of necessity. Some of those moves were coming from a longing of not feeling home. Even though I was living in a great house, I was living in a great area, there were no complaints with my circumstances. Deep within me, there was still a longing that something was missing, that I wasn't home. I wasn't where I needed to be. And this has been a feeling that I have been trying to fulfill within me. You know, we have these feelings in us, we have these dreams, we have these hopes, and we take steps to try to move us closer to whatever that feeling is. And I've always been looking for a place that felt like home for me. And it's such a deep, intense longing. I come from parents who essentially, my father has lived in this area his whole life, literally from the day he was born. There was never a desire for him to move, and there was never this urge to set out for some unknown land. And so when you're born into that belief and that ideology, I don't know, I always felt like I didn't belong in the family because I had such an urge to get away, to get out of there. I didn't know where I was going, I didn't know what I wanted, but there was just an urge to move. And obviously this is a struggle when we're born into a family and we don't feel like we align. We feel like the outcast. We feel like the one who I often say I feel like I got switched in the hospital, that I feel like my beliefs and my behaviors and my thought process and my understanding of the world is so contrary and contradictory to my family that I often joke and doubt that I don't belong in the family. Once I understood and started to go deeper into astrology, the planet that is in charge of this part of my chart is a planet which is known for cutting ties and severing. It is a planet that is known for intensity. And so what does that mean? So that means that my primary design is one where I am designed to move, that I have this feeling that there's something better out there somewhere else. And it's not that that's a bad trait. It's just understanding that feeling and then knowing what to do with it. Part of knowing that was also a relief because, again, here I am, I'm comparing myself to people who are designed differently than me. And I feel like something's wrong with me because I don't want to stay here. I don't want to be here. But that's just not my design. That's not how I'm programmed to work. Understanding the astrology behind all of it gave me a great sense of relief to know that there's nothing wrong with me. I just am here to do and experience different things than my family. And that's okay. I'm almost envious of people who feel like they have found their home, that they are living in a place that they can see themselves living in 20, 30 more years, that they really feel like they can settle in and this is their place. I'm envious of that because I haven't felt that. I haven't felt the safety and the security that I have been searching for. So now that I know that I move, and I will potentially be moving, and that it's a part of how I'm designed to operate, I can understand now that I need to be with somebody, and I need to be with people who understand that. When I was married, I was with somebody who was a person who didn't have a desire to move, wanted to stay in the one place that we were. That was a lot of conflict for us. At that time when I was married, I didn't understand astrology. I didn't understand how I was designed. And it was an initiator of conflict between us. And it's interesting, knowing what I know now, looking back at those discussions, we were complete opposites in that one area of our life. We were designed differently, and that created tension, that created friction. That was always going to be an area that we were going to conflict. And at the time, I didn't understand it. I didn't understand why we were so different and where the difference was and understand what that felt like, because I didn't really know what that felt like. I didn't know what it felt like to come home and have this, oh, I'm home, this feeling of relief and content and safety and nurturing. And it's interesting when I look back and realize that I was in relationship with somebody who had a different feeling than I did. And again, when we're in relationship with somebody and we have these differences and these conflicts, we don't always understand where it's coming from or why it's happening. And now I can look back, I'm 10 steps down the road and understand. I know now it would be best to have a partner who has a similar design as I do, who understands that feeling, that longing, to avoid unnecessary conflicts. And maybe somewhere down the road, I need a vacation spot where I go to on a regular basis. So I have that variety. I have that change of scenery. And so maybe if I vacation more often, then I begin to develop a sense of home in my home. I am moving. It's not by any means a fun part of life. It is an emotional process. It is all of these feelings that are coming up. It's just interesting how when I had thought about moving, you don't think of all of the emotions that arise out of all of these steps, packing, going through things, looking at everything that I have collected since I've been here. It's a very emotional process. It's just interesting because I just didn't plan for it. Even though I have moved, even though I've done this before, and I have downsized quite a bit, still there are things that I am letting go of. I realize I don't need those as security items anymore. I am ready to grow. I am ready to change. Moving is one of those things that helps me shift who I am. And so, even though this process is exhausting to some degree, just the physical aspect of moving things, I realize that I am graduating, that I am moving to another level. And I am looking forward to all of the new possibilities that can come in now. I don't honestly know how many more moves I have in me because I just am realizing this is a lot of work. It's a lot of work to prepare your home and go through everything and execute the logistics of packing everything and moving in. So I don't know. I don't know how many more of these I have in me because it's getting to be a lot. I am trying to keep up the recordings, so if by chance something happens and you miss one, it's because something happened and I ran out of time. But here's to the next chapter. I'm going to open myself up to all good possibilities. Thank you for listening to this podcast of Tracy Talks. Please like and share with others who would enjoy listening to this podcast. And until next time, we meet again.